Hi guys, let me tell you the story of my trip to Extreme Benchrest today. It was very challenging for me because I had to overcome several obstacles to be able to come there. First of all, I had to get United States visa. Mine was expired in December 2021, so I was not able to come, and it was a great pity for me because I had to cancel my trip to Rocky Mountain Air Challenge before. That was in June 2022. You have to understand that Russia nowadays is under sanctions, and that means that we're not able to get any United States visa here in Russia. So as a fact, the United States government gave all Russian status of homeless. That means that we can get a United States visa all over the world. But we have to be able to be assigned to an interview in United States Embassy in any country of the world. And I would say that it is not an easy task at all, because I tried to find something in Europe, but in most countries the closest dates were in 2023, even end of 2023. And so I had to find another way, and the closest date was in Asia, in Malaysia, in capital city of Kuala Lumpur. And just before 2 weeks of Extreme Benchrest, I had to go there to get my visa. It was a long and not an easy trip, I would say. It's not a vacation, but I succeeded. I've got my visa and I was able to come. Well, any trip to United States, even not to United States, but abroad from Russia, again, due to sanctions, is not an easy task, because we have to make connections through another countries like Turkey and Istanbul. So we can't go directly in any Europe or United States, because there are no direct flights. We have to go to Moscow, then to, for example, Istanbul in Turkey, only then to New York, only then to Phoenix, as it was at Extreme Benchrest. So my trip took about 36 hours, and of course I was rather tired. And when I came to my hotel that was booked in advance, they told me that my booking was cancelled. It was late evening, and I was very tired, and I was really upset, I would say. We had a talk. I had to get back to them just to ask them to help me, because when you're in foreign city without any support, it's not an easy task to find a hotel in the evening when you're really tired, on rented car without internet, without navigation, and so on and so on. Luckily, manager agreed to help me and could find a room in that hotel, although just 5 minutes ago she told me that they are overbooked and she can't help me. So it's the first and good part of that story. Then I had just numerous and great support from Utah Airgun team. So I shoot for Utah Airguns as a shooter from Russia with the Russian flag, and I want to thank them for that support greatly, because when I tried to register, I'm in early registration at Airguns of Arizona. I've been said that it happened that I was registered in 2 events only. Those are Extreme Benchrest and speed silhouette shooting. I never been a fan of speed silhouette shooting because I never practice it, and to tell you the truth, it's not interesting for me at all. I prefer wise, intelligent shooting instead of fast loading and just shooting an easy targets. It doesn't mean that speed silhouette shooting is not good kind of shooting sport, but it's just not for me. Well, of course I was disappointed again, and my mood was rather low, so to say. But again, I want to thank all people who helped me, and all Utah Airguns team, and Justin Jacobson, and all other guys who wanted to help me, because a lot of shooters from Utah Airguns told that you know, it's not a problem. We understand all the efforts you had to take to come to United States to shoot, and we are ready to give you our positions in 50 yards bench rest and in extreme field target shooting. For you could be able to shoot all 4 shooting disciplines needed to participate in one gun challenge. Well, I had a talk with Airguns of Arizona guys, and even I had to make a phone talk with Robert Buchanan, but unfortunately at that time I didn't get any support, because official position was that even if shooters from Utah Airguns will give you their spots in those competitions, we have to give those spots to people who are in line for that competitions, but not to you. Well, you know, this logic seems rather weird for me, because first of all, when Utah Airguns in very much advance bought all the slots for their shooters, it's understood that they buy all the slots with all competitions, because when you pay your $300 for participation in event, you are allowed to choose all the events you want. Probably there was some kind of misunderstanding and I don't have enough information, but luckily, due to all efforts that were taken by Justin Jacobson and Utah Airgun guys and other people who helped me, just thank you, I was allowed to shoot all one gun challenge events, and it was really important for me. So at the very day of beginning of competitions, when Extreme Field Target starts, I was informed that I was allowed to do it, and it was excellent, because just the day before, even having the information that I wouldn't be allowed to shoot it, I got prepared. As far as you know, shooters are allowed to shoot public range, that is at the left, it's firearms shooting range, but there are some issues if you speak about sighting in for field target, because when you sight in for that shooting discipline, you've got to shoot from 10 yards to 100 yards distance. And you know, getting correct ballistics from your ballistic calculator software is not an easy task, to tell you the truth, especially if we speak about close distances. So I prefer shooting those distances and getting real corrections, setting them down in my table and using them during shooting. That is exactly what I've done. So I've bought several paper cups for coffee, wrote the distance, put a cross there, and situated them on the shooting range every 10 yards. That allowed me to get exact corrections for the distance. Another interesting thing that happened to me is that I realized that somehow the point of impact of my gun and projectile at that very shooting ranges differs not only by vertical but horizontal also. And it was a surprise for me, to tell you the truth, because I don't like changing the sight-in setup of the scope after it was sight-in at home at perfect conditions, and I don't think it's correct, to tell you the truth. So you have to do it in indoor shooting range without any wind to be absolutely sure that your gun is precisely sighted in. This time, day by day, my point of impact moved to the left. So by the day of competitions started, finals I mean, I realized that a point of impact to 100 yards distance moved to, I think, 0.4 mil to left. So instead of shooting in absolutely well-known conditions for me, when I have wind flag indication, I know which correction to take, I had to recalculate it, and it was not an easy task, to tell you the truth, and I think that also affected my result. But anyway, you know, thanks to all people who let me in one gun challenge, I managed to take the first place in 50 yards shooting with a rather high score, I would say. I've made one mistake. during my first match, but you can see it on my videos. Just watch the previous videos on my channel. There is full shooting of 50 yards, all 3 matches. There was one mistake, but it was not that critical not to allow me to take the first place. Then I managed to take the 4th place in extreme field target shooting. Unfortunately, there are no full list of rules on site of extreme bench rest, and that's what I've been talking about for several years. That guys, you pretend to call yourself major event in the United States, you have to make the full list of rules. I've met almost the same situation there at extreme field target that I've met a year before, when my gun is cocked up and the pin probe is not pushed forward when I push the trigger, and there's no any air coming out of the barrel or even the regulator power plenum. Anyway, the judge at the place, or how you call it, let him call, so here's the click and he counts it as a shot. I'm not going to argue if it is correct or not. It is 100% not correct if you speak about classic field target rules, because they are written exactly the following: that the shot is calculated as shot in case of air leaves the barrel. FX air guns is constructed in different way. So if you cock up the gun and you don't push the probe forward, and if your gun is cocked up with the probe in rear position and you push the trigger, there will be no any shot and air will not leave the barrel or power plenum. Well, it was counted as a miss. Okay, no problem. So minus 1 point, will count it as my mistake. But as a fact, I've got the 4th place, but 4th, 3rd and 2nd place had the equal score. It was 31. So my result is not bad at all, and the winner, I mean between 4th, 3rd and 2nd, was found out using the first miss rule. Okay, to tell the truth, I'm satisfied, because I don't practice it at home and this result is very good. I've got the 2nd place in extreme bench rest main event, shooting to 100 yards distance. It was very challenging for me, because the first day I shot the very best results from all the shooters. It was, how much did it was? It was 242, it seems to me, and 12x. If I'm wrong, just check the tables, everything is written there. I was extremely happy, but on the 2nd day something went wrong. I think that it was my bench. It was the 5th bench, and the wind was just crazy, and there were several bumps on the shooting range. I will show it to you. That dramatically changes the situation, and of course no any flag can show it to you. So there were some random shots, I would say, that could not be predicted, so I've got rather low score, but anyway it allowed me to go to finals on, which was that, 2nd or 3rd place. Yeah, 2nd or 3rd place, I don't remember, to tell you the truth exactly. Overall, from my group of shooters, that was fine. And if we speak about finals, I was rather lucky to get the 26th bench. It's almost on the middle of the shooting range, and I tried to work with the wind as hard as I can. And my brain, I would say, almost boiled, because the situation was not easy at all. Don't forget about moving of point of impact. And I really did all I can. I've got 224 and 4x. It's exactly the same result as I've got here in 2019. Well, it's not bad. It's 2nd result. The 1st place took Jeffrey Fernandez. He's a brilliant shooter, no doubts here. He practices the same style of shooting as me. I call it intelligent Benchrest shooting, when you shoot slow, analyze every shoot, every wind, conditions in every shot, I mean, and it's not an easy task, but it's very, very interesting. And I would say that this very final match was one of the most interesting in my life. It's not published yet, I will publish it a bit later, and you'll have an opportunity to see that match. It was really cool. And finally, I've got the prize that I really wanted to have. It's one gun challenge. So the shooter who participates in all 4 events, those are 50 yards bench rest, extreme field target, speed silhouette shooting, and extreme bench rest itself, and who get the highest score, if to summarize all of them, gets this trophy. And I've got it, and I really wanted to have it, so I'm absolutely happy with it. Nowadays I'd like to say that probably I'm the very first person who got all the wooden pallets from Extreme Benchrest from all pallet events they hold, so I'm absolutely happy with it. And my collection now is full. That doesn't mean that I will stop shooting Extreme Benchrest and their events. No, not of course. I will do it, and I will do it in UTR Guns team that make me feel like being in a real family, due to their support, due to their cool inside of team mood, I would say. And I have to mention that Justin, Austin and Just UTR Guns, they organize perfect parties almost every day. You know, I'm not a fan of parties, to tell you the truth, but in this very situation it was such a warm atmosphere there. No any aggressive words, only support. Everyone was so kind. We had very interesting talks there on absolutely different topics, starting from air guns and finishing the politics questions, so a lot of different. It was really cool, and I was absolutely happy with it. Well, I've got to tell you the story of my trip back home. It was much more harder, I would say, than coming to Extreme Benchrest, because it was really a long way. From time I left my hotel till time I entered home, it was more than 48 hours, so it was just crazy. And you've got to take into account that I'm a big guy and I just can't sleep in the airplane, so it was rather complicated. Before leaving country, I had to go and get my prize, and Robert Buchanan wanted to help me for not having any problems, and he didn't give me the check of my prize, so I didn't have to go to a bank, but he gave me cash, so I was really happy with that, and I had that cash with me. So I left Phoenix, came to JFK, so New York airport, and I found out that I can't check in my baggage, and this time it was rather big. I would say it was much above 160, probably 170 pounds. You can't take your card with you from one terminal to another, so I had to carry it all in my hands. And then I found out that I can't check it in before the 3 hours of my flight. So I had to be with all that baggage in free access zone, so to say, for now 9 hours. By that time I didn't sleep for over 24 hours. I had my cash with me, cash prize, I had my guns with me, I had my baggage with me, luggage with me, and I really wanted to sleep. It was just crazy. And I just pushed myself not to fall asleep, because every person has access to that part of airport. There were some strange guys who asked to feed them, to help them with money, and so on and so on. And it just, if I fell asleep, I could be left without cash, baggage, guns, and so on, because it's not security, so to say, area of airport. Luckily everything was fine. I managed to check in my baggage. Now I know all the procedures and didn't have any problems there. Just you have to pass it through correctly. And just at the very moment when I was ready to enter the airplane, really just before the entrance to the airplane, several officers of some United States service, I don't know who they were, they didn't introduce themselves, so to say. They called me, they unpacked all my luggage, they counted all my money in my wallet, they had a lot of questions for me. I think it took at least 15-20 minutes, and as a fact the race was delayed due to all that stuff. I don't know what happened and how could that happen. Situation seems rather strange for me because they just caught me and they checked me and they asked rather unusual, I would say, questions. First of all, why I came to the United States, what did I do there, how much money do I have with me. They checked my money by themselves. Where do I work in Russia, what's my position, what's my political view to all this stuff happening in the world. What else? That was a long talk. I mean, some questions were definitely I would say rather dangerous because they wanted to get my response. They knew that response could be rather hard, I would say, because there were some political issues that no any Russian can be calm with. But everything went fine. Just we had several minutes of political talks and I tried to explain them what's going on from our point of view. And so finally I got aboard. I came to Russia. First I had to go to Istanbul, then to Russia. My friends met me. They helped me to get home with all this baggage. I had a short sleep and now I'm here in my parents' house just to have 2 days of rest and then go to my usual job. So the trip was very interesting for me. All the preparations, this September was the craziest month in whole my life because I moved to one part of the world and I moved to Europe to get my guns, then I had to move to United States and all those took just 4 weeks. So I had to go to Malaysia, then work 4 days, then go to Czech Republic, then I came home and morning Monday straight go to work, then I had 4 days of work and then I went to the United States. So it was very, very complicated and luckily my future competitions, I hope it'll be Rocky Mountain Gun Challenge and Extreme Benchrest will be much easier for me because I will not have to make all these movements that makes any person tired really. So thanks for watching this long story. Now you know, I think, almost all details I wanted to tell you about. I wanna thank everyone for this support, guys, because you know it was really cool. I've got all this support in social media. A lot of people came personally to me and they said such warm words about shooting, about all the political stuff that's going on, and I'm so happy that many people in the United States don't mix politics and people. And just I want you to know that absolute majority of Russians think that United States people are very good people and we are have very much in common. Absolute Russians don't like United States politics and what they are doing. I think that you feel the same about Russian politics, but you have to know that we have nothing against American people, because people almost everywhere are quite similar. But if you speak about Russians and Americans, we have very, very much in common. So, thanks for watching. It was the greatest experience for me. I'm very happy and very satisfied with all results I've got. And thank you for your support. Bye, guys.